Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Drew.
And we are back with another top 5 list for Let's Table It. Today we're talking about our favorite games with positive player interaction. And this is kind of a unique list for us. I think we're on record as saying we don't always like a ton of player interaction in our games because it sometimes feels mean.
Yeah, but I think this is the clear exception because it really does feel like you're getting quite a bit out of it.
Yes, it's either you're getting something or you're able to do something extra because of an action another player has taken.
Yeah.
And so that's where the sweet spot for player interaction is with us. We don't want to have to battle each other. I mean, we're married. We love each other. We don't want to battle. We don't want to beat up on each other. And so these positive player interaction games really hit pretty good for us.
And there were quite a few we could have picked from.
Yes.
There were a couple others that we could have maybe put on the list too, but...
And we might talk about that as we talk about why we considered this as a positive player interaction. We might talk a little bit about some of the other games that might fit if you would rather have that theme or rather have some different mechanisms.
Right.
But I'm really excited about this list. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So here we go. First up, we've got Flamecraft. Flamecraft has some really great positive interaction because one of the dragon's power is that you can gift somebody else a resource or up to so many resources.
Yes.
I think it's maybe 3 to get points for those resources. So you are getting the benefit of the points, but you're also giving something to somebody else. And I mean, the way we play, we kind of... what would they like? We don't try to be like, well, I'm just going to give you this because you can't use it. Like, we try to play nicely as a family with this one. But I really love that about this game, that it encourages that it's almost cooperation, but it's not a cooperative game. It's a competitive game, but you're still helping somebody else out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the fun part. Is it gives some of the vibes of some of those the younger kid games with being able to do that and helping and getting something for it. Definitely has that feel, and it's a game that I think with that spirit in mind, the whole family can play, and we're not at each other's throats or something like that. So.
Yes, I don't think we've ever had tears over Flamecraft, so that is something that we really do look for, especially in family weight games, is that everyone's going to walk away feeling good about their play, whether or not they won. So Flamecraft really hits that spot for us.
Okay, our second one is Wingspan. Wingspan is another one a lot like Flamecraft in that depending on the cards, you get something, somebody else might get something as you progress on the bird abilities in various habitats and stuff like that, whether it's drawing a card or getting eggs or, a lot of things like that. So they're not, again, it's not like it's plentiful. It's not all the time you're seeing it.
I think Wingspan gets a pretty low player interaction score from a lot of people, but I think it really does depend on those cards that come out. And there are some plays that can be pretty interactive with regards to, well, I have a bird that lets me do this when you do that, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you're right. If you do this, then that activates this bird on this turn for me as well, in between turns. So that is kind of a fun one too. And there's so much variability with this game too.
Yes.
You just never know what you're going to get.
And yeah, I do like that some of those cards, especially the ones that get you resources, get you food, they will say everyone takes something from the bird feeder and you get to choose the order. So that gives you a little flexibility in, well, I want that person to go first because if they go, then I can re-roll it. So I'm still getting a more powerful action, but everybody else at the table is getting something as well. And I just really like that in a game. And like Drew said, those bird powers where you have maybe when somebody lays an egg once per turn, you can also lay an egg on some card. Or when somebody's predator gets triggered, then you also get to do your bird's ability.
Right.
And so I do think there's a lot of player interaction in those plays when those cards come out.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those that it's a very unique interaction. You know, there's some other games out there like Earth where, depending on what somebody plays, you get
another one where it's a lot of people say it's multiplayer solitaire.
But by them playing this, you activate the lesser power, and this kind of has that. Also, it's just not as reliable and all the time, but it's variable.
Yes. Earth was one we thought about putting on this list, but we decided it gets too much of a bad rap for being that multiplayer solitaire, even though it does kind of have that follow action that you can do. But I think Wingspan does hit that spot for us where, depending on the play, you can have some of that really great positive player interaction.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got one of our newer games to our collection, and this is Raising Robots. And really, we could have put a lot of games kind of in this category of this follow mechanism, where in Raising Robots, you will be able to draw 2 cards that determine your energy, and then you look at your hand and you think what kind of actions you want to do. And so then you will assign different actions to those energy cards, and depending then on how everything comes out with which actions are with which energy cards, you might be able to do an action that you didn't choose because somebody else chose it and there's an energy cube on that card. So there's a lot of ifs and ands, but that is a really fun thing where you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting to be able to play down a robot this turn or to be able to get an upgrade this turn, but I actually can. So it's just kind of a surprising positive thing that happens.
And chances are, if it's not one you selected, if you do get to do it, it's going to be small, but it's something.
Yeah.
You know?
And especially I would say maybe on the ones where you're getting resources.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think that those are the ones that you're like, oh, well, that's kind of nice. I get to actually get something when I didn't think I was going to, and that might allow me on my next turn to do something a little bit bigger. So I agree. It's another one, really cute art, and it's more complex than you think, and it looks super complex, and it's not as complex as it looks, but it's definitely got a lot of decision space. Yes, it does. I think I've described it as Race for the Galaxy, which is another one we could have put on this list with that follow action where you are choosing which action you want to take, and then you will be able to make that choice if you're going to follow that or not.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's kind of Race for the Galaxy mashed up with Wingspan in that engine building section. So that's like Wingspan on steroids. Like, it's a lot more complex, but it is still super fun. And if you're looking for something a little step up from Wingspan, you might give that a shot.
Definitely. Okay, and our next one up is Wreck Raiders. So this one's kind of unique. As you place your divers out, you have a chance to take other people's spots, you know, and at that point, you're taking what you really want, but at the same time, as you bump them up to the shore, they get to get a benefit from it as well. So there's definitely that, you know, I get something at the same time, you're getting some kind of, I don't know, a resource also.
Yes, you're getting that shell that you can add. And I do think that when you place your diver on, I think it's the divers on either side
that
of you activate as well. And so you are getting resources to the other players or perhaps yourself even if you place next to yourself. But then when you're bumping, they also get another little boost. So it's just such a fun mechanism. And a couple other games with that bumping, we could have put Apiary on there because that has that bumping mechanism, or House of Fado comes to mind as well. That when you bump somebody, they're going to get a bonus or get something that they wanted out of this situation. And so I love that on a competitive game, because that way on those worker placements especially, you can still get what you want, but you do have to kind of consider, well, do I want to give them that boost?
Yeah, but you know, the House of Fado, I mean, plenty of them come to mind, because once you place and you get your things, you're like, okay, I need somebody to bump the worker now. You know, Apiary, another, you know, there's a few that definitely like this. This is just kind of that family weight that fits the bill in this category, I think.
And it is one of those where you're like, in a regular worker placement game, you don't want anybody else to want the same spot that you do.
Right.
But in one of these games where you're able to bump people, you actually do kind of hope that somebody else wants to take that same action that you wanted to take, because then you'll get a little extra.
Yeah, it's very different than some of the others that have kind of that negative. You know, I'm thinking of viticulture, but so Garfield games.
Yeah.
When you look at some of those architects and you know, people coming in and taking your this is very much on the opposite spectrum.
Yes, it's and I think that's great on a family level. Game, just because it does encourage that that playfulness, and not necessarily that someone bumping you is a bad thing.
Right.
And so I do like that.
Yeah, and this is a great one. Again, I think, you know, 8, 9-year-old, you can definitely start them on something like this.
Yes, we've definitely played this multiple times.
Yeah.
Even 2 years ago, maybe. So Hazen would have been 7. So
yeah, and of course he's played quite a bit, but 8 I think could be easily done. And he really likes this game.
Yes, this is one of his favorites. So that is Wreck Raiders. And last up, we have a classic game of Space Space. Space Space has a lot of interaction because you have to be paying attention on everybody's turn. So you're going to roll your dice, and then depending on those numbers, you'll trigger what you have on your board. But everybody else around the table is able to take actions depending on what they've tucked under their board. And so everyone's like, roll this, roll this. Everyone is trying to build up and hope that somebody else will roll those numbers, because that's where your big turns are actually coming from. A lot of the time, your big turn isn't when you're rolling those dice, but it's when somebody else rolls it and a number that you have really stacked and built up comes up, and then you're like, yes. That's when those big turns come. It's actually on somebody else's turn.
Yeah, and I like this for so many things. You know, you've got that it's that really simultaneous to a degree, because everybody is getting things at all
Everybody's
times.
Engaged the whole game.
And the other thing is I like that you're rolling the 2 dice, and that ability to choose how you want to attack this. Do I want to use those dice together and get those bigger numbers? Do I want to separate them, you know, and go towards the smaller ones? It really just depends. And it's so variable as to who's going to win, because...
And which cards are coming out.
Yeah, because if you are stacking those 11s and 12s, there's a chance that turn's going to be huge at some point, but it might never strike.
And there is so much replayability on this one because of what cards are going to come out, what's your player count. Are you going to try to diversify and like try to get some really good stuff on every number, so every turn you're getting some good things? Or are you really banking on a couple numbers?
Right.
Do you go for high numbers and hope that somebody's going to roll those? Or do you go for a lot of low numbers and just be able to get more stuff more reliably? And there's just so much different strategy that you can take.
And there's so many cards, and there's so many expansions and modules, and I mean,
we've only dipped our toes into those.
I mean, there's the replayability, just because of the variability there between the cards and the rolls. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yes, and it oftentimes does come down to that wire of, okay, so we're both at like 37 points. Who's going to get that next point? Who's going to either have enough money to buy a point card, or is just going to have a big turn and push over that mark.
Or you finish your last turn and you're at 32, and you're just hoping it gets around so you can buy that point card before somebody else goes out on their turn. So
it's such a fun one. It's one of my favorites for sure. So,
and a super simple game.
Super
and
simple,
another one,
teach.
you know, Hazen,
Hazen
8, 9, he loves this game.
So that is one of our favorites with a lot of positive player interaction, Space Space. So this has been another top 5 list for Let's Table It. We today talked about our very favorite games with some positive player interaction, which I think is something that we're pretty passionate about as gamers. That's one of our favorite things. If you have enjoyed this list, let us know. Let us know what some of your favorites with positive player interaction are. I'm sure we missed.
Well, and we mentioned a few as we went through that weren't on this list. But if we didn't mention something and you think it's great, I mean, drop it in the comments.
Yeah, and of course, positive player interaction, we're going to play it. We love that mechanism 100%. In general. And so definitely let us know your suggestions. If you've liked our top 5 lists, make sure you're subscribed to Let's Table It so you don't miss any more lists or reviews or previews or any of the other great stuff that we've got going on the channel. And if you want to see more behind the scenes or day-to-day with our gaming with either Drew and I as a couple or the whole family, you can find us on Instagram at Sarah Always Loses. Until next time, we'll see you at the table.